Okay, I don't know if everybody saw my email last night in terms of this kind of keeping up thing, appropriate to what Jeremy and I are talking about here. Um, with these two phase drawings that we're doing, that's really important because if you don't have enough information on the drawing to begin with, okay, uh, then um, then you have nothing to bounce off of in terms of the drawing. Okay, drawings aren't made in a vacuum. Okay, number one, they're not made in a vacuum, i.e., you always source some visual information from somewhere else, right? Either your imagination, and that's an amalgamate, of course, of many experiences, or you source it from a visual source, right? A photograph or set of 3D objects in front of you, which is what we do in this class. So that's one prong. That's one aspect of creating art. Okay, is putting down that impression that you have of something. Okay. The second part of it is reactionary. Okay, how do you react to the artwork itself as it's in process? Okay, so what a lot of students, particularly students who are just starting out, they come into making art with the assumption that the first thing they do is the finished product. Okay, and if you've not done a lot of art, that's a normal assumption. Okay, because when you look at art, that's all you see. When you look at a masterpiece, you see the finished process, right? You don't see what went into that. So what went into it is, yes, the imagination of the artist, the keen observational skills of the artist in terms of rendering a particular form, shape, whatever. But even more important than that is the artist's ability to mold and manipulate the work that's in front of them over a long period of time. Okay? So getting those marks on the paper is really important. Up to now, we've done more or less analytically based, except for the scribble technique, analytically based engagements, right? Using your analytical skills, your brain to kind of solve problems. Now you're using your vision to solve problems in terms of what is the problem with your work. That's analysis in a different kind of way, okay? It's critical analysis of the art object in front of you. And I can tell you from experience, 20 years of teaching at the college level, that probably 80% of the students, if not a little bit more, never take it past the first phase, okay? They're incapable of it. Whether because it's too much work, or whether because they don't have the vision to do it. I'm not quite sure, because it does take a lot of work. It's a risk, because you have to undo what you've done. And then redo. And then undo that and redo. It's not dissimilar from writing a term paper, done well. All the rewrites, the edits, the undo. Maybe a term paper, maybe a really beautiful short story has 10% of the original words in it, the original sentences, the original progression, right? The rest of it has been radically shifted and radically changed, okay? The problem is with visual art, the world of appearances are just there. So we assume whatever we see is correct and is our version of reality, and that we need not go further. Okay? So that's why I ask you to kind of be a maniac, for the most part, with this application of lines and energy to the drawing to begin with, as you're mapping it out. And to do it in such a way that it's fluid and flexible. Okay, so that you can go in and start doing your subtracting and changing of the drawing, getting the mindset out of your head that whatever you put on the piece of paper is the and be all of the drawing. It isn't by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Any questions about that whole notion? Okay, because we're into a separate set of circumstances here at the end of the semester that gets really complex. Okay.
Blake, excuse me, it's Sarah.
Yeah.
Are you going to record this? Can you? Because I think it's important information.
Yes, I am recording it, Sarah. Yeah.
Oh, you are? Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. And I'll post that. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Having kind of introduced that concept here, let's talk a little bit more specifically about the work, okay? Who here that submitted their work got it right the first time, to your knowledge? No one. Okay, good. I don't get it right the first time. All right. So, what problems did you run into in this drawing that one might be able to share?
I drew mine, I think, a little bit too dark.
Yeah. Okay. I love your drawing. Can I show it, Meredith?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me do screen share here. Sarah, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you'll see it in the rerun. Okay, so there's Meredith's drawing. I corrected a few things as I did with everyone. That angle's a little off there. Meredith, we talked about, and, maybe widen that box a little bit. Otherwise, and then start to fill in some details under the shelf and that sort of thing. Otherwise, the structure looks pretty darn good in my estimation. But what I love about the process, or what Meredith's engaging in, is this really beautiful mark-making process there. He's not fudging it. Okay, he's using his straight edge and using that angle of the edge of this box right here to duplicate across the surface of this top of the box here, right? Got this angle a little off here, as I mentioned, okay? I love the way he's starting to build up his lines. Now, where's it too dark, Meredith?
The bottom left corner.
Right there, yep.
The bottom of the box in the left-hand corner in the rear. I think it's a little bit too dark, and
it's not bad back here. The only thing are you using, the one thing I had question for you, this looks like charcoal you're applying instead of graphite?
Well, I started out with a 2HB, and I did use a 4B after I finished the 2B line.
Is this graphite though, this area?
Yeah.
Okay. Just double check that, make sure it's not charcoal. All you need to do is go in and start subtracting into that. Just pull away with your eraser, okay? All right. But I love the draw. I love his mark making here. Look at how he's, I love these, lines running longitudinal down the length of that box. So really nice drawing. But yeah, too dark maybe for now. Particularly these spots right here, right here, right here, and right here. All you need to do is go in with an eraser and start to kind of pull that stuff back, okay? And start filling the rest of the drawing out, okay? No empty spaces on these drawings. None, okay? In the first phase and throughout the rest of the drawing, okay? Yep. Looks good, though. Who else made a mistake?
My foreshortening,
Yeah, so that was Paulette's is a really beautiful drawing here. Can I show that, Paulette?
if you want to.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't know if
I've
this.
erased more and worked on it.
Yeah. Okay. So
But I've changed that a lot since then. I took that whole book and changed it.
Okay, so here's the
I love
again.
that picture.
What's that?
I love the picture. It's a nice setup.
Yeah, it is, and that's another issue. Thanks for bringing that up, Jeremy. Very important. Notice how when I see the setup here, Paulette sent me a quick shot of the view of that she was looking at it from, right? Because when I saw this first drawing, I had no idea, as a teacher, whether or not Paulette's view of those books was elevated, i.e., up high looking down, right? She might have been standing at an easel working on it, right? For all I knew.
Right.
Okay? And then I pointed out to her, Paulette, I need to see the angle of view from what you drew that. So the next drawing she sent, I don't know if I have a version of that unfettered here. I don't think so, but you'll be able to see this one a little closer. You can see with the pencil line, she started to make the corrections already even before I talked to her about it in the critique. Okay, so she saw that that she had to flatten that book out. She had to foreshorten it. She had to make those angles more horizontal. Look how she drew it to begin with. Like she's looking straight down on it. So not only that, but look at the edge of the paper here, the setup, okay? See the angles of the edge of the paper right there? There's an angle there, right? And this is an angle over by the tennis ball. And Paulette, in the first drawing, drew those straight up, right? The edge of the paper, straight up, okay? Not thinking about the fact that that paper is getting wider as it moves towards us, so there's an angle here. That's why I represented that with these blue lines coming, flaring out this way, okay? Everybody understand what I'm talking about there?
Right.
Okay? That's a major issue, okay? Because then it looks like we're just hovering above the scene, okay? And Paulette's been, I've taught Paulette for a long time here. She's been drawing for a long time. And and she's, making assumptions in the drawing that most everybody will make, right? Right? So I don't do it because I teach it. I got to think about this all the time, right? But if you're not really kind of pondering it, you're going to jump to the easiest conceptualization, which is the book, the top of that top book, looking just like a rectangle, right? Pure rectangle, 45-degree angles on each corner. When in fact, it's not that way. It's skewed. Look at that, how big that angle is, the left corner of the book. Okay, so she started to make the corrections nicely in that drawing for the top book, but she had to do it in the rest of the books as well. So you can kind of see here.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
Yeah, it's not a hard fix. Just these really subtle shifts with these angles, popping the corner of this bottom book out a little bit. Just shifting and moving the thing a little bit. Not radical, okay? Not radical. And then maybe making the apple down here a little bigger, as I talked about compositionally weighting it out, because these drawings are about composition as well. Okay, what I love about this drawing is this sense of character, the patina, the sense of a journey, the push and pull, the add and subtract. This beautiful mark making with these straight lines that she's engaging in, and then the denial of it. And then she'll come back in and reinforce it as she develops the drawing for this week further, okay? With these minor shifts and alterations and corrections over time. So locking or getting out of your head that you're doing an outline and coloring it in is really important. It gives you the ability. I have to do it with these blue lines because, just as an easiest thing to do to show you the angle of the edges. But you don't need to lock those in with a precise detail at the beginning of the drawing. It doesn't need to happen, okay? So you can see this beautiful shift that her drawing is taking, right? This is a beautiful drawing, by the way. I love this drawing. It's just the perspective's not right. That's all. But the mark making, the development of shadow and light and all that stuff is really coming along nicely. Not overstating it, just the structural issue, that's all. And that's why this is an amalgamation, an accumulation over time, right? These last two drawings we're doing, of all the stuff we learned before, structural issues, with the addition of value and energy and emotion and all those extra things, right? Texture, hopefully, form. Okay? Okay. Any questions about that? I love this changing of, now, can you get rid of all that stuff? Yeah, over time, all that echo, see where the original book was there? See how, how rectangular that is? That'll all disappear by adding more marks and taking them away and adding more and taking them away and just kind of just being a maniac with your mark making once you got the structure in place. Okay. Any questions? So, yes, here. Sarah, I can't hear you, but I can hear your car.
Okay, no, I was just gonna
go ahead.
Say that
Yeah.
I certainly made first drawing as well.
Yeah.
It was real helpful. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I think I might have that here. Let's see. Can I show it? Because you sent me the photo and I was able to talk about some things. I think this might be the first, or let's see. So that's the unfettered
Yeah, I
version.
think that's the
That's the second version, I believe.
Yeah.
because I erased.
Yeah. And even the second version, right, Sarah, there were still some corrections to be done, right? That's not. So here was her setup, and really beautifully lit and really nice, simple setup, right? Nice job with that. So I don't have that first correction, but she made it was kind of more angular here.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then this was
what I did. What's first one?
Go ahead. Are you talking, Sarah? I can't hear you. I can hear you laughing.
No. I'm so.
All right.
I'm just going to put myself on.
Okay. All right. I'll describe
Okay.
it. So this was the corrected version. The first one I had here somewhere. It's kind of nice to be able to see that maybe. Let's see. So here's the first version. And that angle there and that angle will never meet each other as they move back in space. Okay? So, let me show you. So the angle she struck for this left edge of this book and the angle she struck for its partner, the right edge over here, are supposed to converge as they move back in space, right? Those won't meet each other, okay? I think this is the first version. And then I think this is the second version, where she made some corrections. You can kind of see, start erasing stuff over here, shifting that edge a little bit more, right? And then I took a look at it and said, well, it's not shifted enough yet. So my suggestion was to kick out this, lengthen this book a little bit here, i.e. making this even more angular over here. The red line is her old line, which is this one right here. And I said that needs to be angled even more so that this edge and this edge meet each other, okay? And then the shape of the lemon has an axis which is a little bit more 45 degrees, right? So I kind of described that and widened that out. So some subtle adjustments, right, to the drawing that need to be done, right? So it never ends. Now the next phase I would suggest with Sarah's is to start working in the background more. We all ignore that. I do it all the time. I ignore it. Go and play in the background. Go play in the playground and go play in the background. Okay? Two phrases to live by for your life, okay? Go to the playground and play, and go to the background and play. All right, both are fun places to be. All right, and sometimes the foreground. Okay, no, a lot of the times the foreground, because that gives you a respite. It's like I don't have to worry about it. I'm just gonna play with mark making on here, dark and light and different angles, all that sort of stuff. Because this is a project about cross hatching and building up a density of form over time. Okay. Okay, so about done here. Just kind of reiterating, this is a review more than anything else, but just wanted to kind of, they're putting commercials on YouTube videos now. So if you go to the YouTube videos, by the way, like let's go to this one. Look at that, they're making money off of my nobody ever looks at. They're making money off of my video. And I haven't even monetized it.
A lot more detail, a lot more kind of sense of finish.
That's not fair.
But a drawing is what is a drawing, so I knew I wasn't going to work more than 4 hours on this, so I wanted to...
So this is the third video. You can kind of see how the build up over time, adding, subtracting, erasing, pushing, pulling, using the little eraser to kind of clean edges up. You've got to get used to doing this add subtract. That's what this is about. So it's not all additive at this point in terms of in an odd way the erasing is additive because it's in an odd way the erasing is additive because it's adding light value, right? So it's not like it's merely correction at a certain point in the drawing, okay? It's clearing the deck for some more dark marks if you want to do it, or adding parallel hatches. You can see that the white parallel lines running the length of this thing, right? Cleaning edges up, right? So I'm using the ruler to shelter an edge and erase up to that edge, so I use it as a stencil. We'll be doing that in the charcoal drawing next time. So there's a lot of different ways you can, and I talk about this in these videos. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you can use the straight edge here. And then here's what the drawing looked like to begin with. Okay, so I went over all this last week, but much more rudimentary, right? Much more airy, much more light-handed, but still a lot of energy in the drawing. We got stuff going on. You got some cross hatching started up here, right? And here's what it looked like at the very beginning. Just blocking it in, right? It's getting going. Now, I didn't draw that quickly, but you got to move relatively rapidly. Okay. So, complex set of contingencies here to make a drawing based on an observation of a still life scene. Okay? A lot of push-pull, a lot of changing, a lot of adding and subtracting over a long period of time to create the finished drawing. I.e., beginning, 15 minutes, 2.5 hours in. Where's the 5-hour one? Can't find the 5-hour one. Oh, I'm missing the 5-hour one. It's there somewhere. You got all that information. So you can see, at least you can kind of see, oh, here's 5 hours. So 2.5 hours versus 5 hours, right? All that relative value issue. Got that to play with here. You know, you got a lot of stuff going on here. This could be a finished drawing here, maybe, at 5 hours, because everything fits in place. The puzzle fit, all the value puzzles fit in place. Everything's at the right value to each other. I just haven't made it super dark yet. That's 10 hours in. Okay? And that goes to your issue, Meredith, that we were talking about in terms of getting too dark too soon.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Thousands of marks, adding and subtracting, erasing and adding in this version that didn't exist in this version. Plus, I went to a little darker pencil, right? Started to push a little harder when I was certain about, or absolutely certain about certain areas, etc. Okay, today's a review. That's all. So I just kind of wanted to kind of reiterate some of this stuff in terms of how to create a completed drawing, finished drawing, every inch of the drawing being addressed. Any questions?
I just have for clarification. I think the hardest, or well, one of the easiest things was when it was, just to, like you say, go and just play in the playground out there and realizing that, this isn't life or death kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And it's changing things. But it really is helpful to get the perspective right and the basic lines. If you don't have that, it's really hard.
And that's why I have you do the first version and send it to me so I can kind of, seeing the setup,
Right.
and it gives me an idea of how to help you with that. And it is playful, right? It's going to be, don't let it be boring. Just play with the marks, it's not like watching a video game or playing a video game. I guess you do watch them or play them. I don't know which. But or whatever you enjoy doing. But you can enjoy it. There's a revelry in mark making. It's your mark. You're making a mark in the world. You may wad it up at the end of the semester and throw it away, but it still was there and is there in the past, right? So it still has a resonance in the present moment, even if you did it 3 weeks ago. Okay.
Right.
Look how I did the ball here, by the way, the organic object. I didn't outline it. I just kind of started bundling marks to create this image, right? And then by the end of the drawing, it looks like this. I just bundle and 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 bundle. And I hardly have any outline there. I'm just cutting, here I cut away, if you can see down the corner here. I'm cutting against the dark of the ball. Light against dark. So I go in and erase this whole area here to make the ball look darker by a relative value.
Right.
And I'm not outlining the ball, right? It's just a bundle of marks there that's creating mass first, form first, and shape last. Okay? We always jump to shape, right, when we do stuff. So I want to kind of break you from that as well. But yeah, it is play. You're right, Sarah. Yeah. If you can kind of, and even the energy of these eraser marks up here in this negative space, in the background again against the book, I get rid of those eventually in the drawing, but I like it. I like these horizontals here that, it just adds energy to the drawing. So, yeah. And I can feel safer going a little darker at the end here too as well, because I'm like 10 hours into the drawing, 8 hours into the drawing or whatever. Okay, any other questions or comments? Move fast, move lightly, like a great athlete, light-footed and quick and accurate in terms of your marks, okay? And then the game will be won at the end of the drawing. Meaning you'll conform everything in the right place and develop the values and all that sort of stuff. Okay? But while you're playing the game, you execute, you move quickly, and you move lightly. Okay? With a sense of agility. And that's practice. That just takes practice. Okay? That's all. That's all it is. It's technique. Okay. Any questions?
It helped to see Meredith's drawing and Sarah's.
Yeah, it does help that. And yours too,
I
Paula.
agree.
Yeah.
It was, Meredith, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that
Mm.
drawing. Yeah, just pull back a little bit on the darks, Meredith, and then start to add a lot more mid values, and then darken at the end of the drawing at the end of the week. Okay. You got about four hours left on this drawing, probably something like that. Okay. All right. Okay.
Alright.
Alrighty.
Thanks a lot.
Can-
I'm sorry it was.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks for well, thanks for participating. And again, let me know if anybody has any questions, wants to talk about anything or whatever. So, okay, I'm always here. Okay.
Alright.
All right. Now use your time wisely. Wednesday will be Wednesday will be Q&A. Okay. That's work time for you. But I'll be here.
Alright.
Okay.
Good.
All right. See you later. Take
Thanks
care.
a lot.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you. Bye bye.